fighting games are. What is there any? There's been news this week, but would there be any that we would like focus on for the podcast title?
I mean, that's a good question. Well, something about the Nickelodeon fighting game, I guess. The Nickelodeon All-Stars Battle Royale. Or whatever.
Yeah, I get like it's the passing of the torch, isn't it? Fighting games are passing the torch. There you go.
Fighting games are under budget.
Yeah, but it's selling relatively well, which means that odds are the developers are going to be able to convince Nick to probably get the voice actors for them. Same way the Power Rangers game did, right?
Yeah. I mean, my main thing is that like there's like out of like the characters that I like from the old Nicktoons don't look great in the game, and the characters that I don't really care for, and not to mention that there's apparently like it's very much aimed at the competitive scene, and I just don't fucking care. So
it's definitely something I intend to pick up at some point, partly just because it's a Smash game that I can buy on PC that'll have rollback. But I like that. I don't know about like the competitive stuff for Melee very much myself. But at the very least, I do like that it is something that's very different from Ultimate, right?
I suppose I have no experience with Smash after 64, so you know.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? I mean, I don't think either of us do have all that much to say about Nick All-Star Battle, other than it's good that people like it. You know.
Yeah, we're good for the people who like it. There you have it. And then other news, we had the reveal of the much more interesting the gender flip Shunai, whose name is escaping me. I think her name starts with an I, but I forget.
It's like Isabella or something, I believe.
I think it's a 4-letter name.
But something, yeah. I wish I could remember, yeah.
Like the only reason I remember Shunai's name is because I played through freaking 14 with every character. So
yeah.
So I saw him a lot, and every time I was like, man, why does he exist? But you know.
She does look very good though. This chick that has the same power as he does, but she uses them in actual cool and interesting ways.
Isla.
Like,
that's her name. Isla.
Oh, I should have remembered that. Isla Fisher.
Island.
Yeah, that too. I mean, the thing with Shunai is, right, he's using his little hand thing like a stand that fights like in place of him, basically, right? He throws out the punches from the big hand, and that's about it, right?
Yeah.
Whereas Isla's thing is, well, God help me, she's kind of like Orange Cassidy, isn't she?
I don't know.
Because she keeps her hands in her pocket while she fights and has the two, like, spirit hands fight for her. Did you notice that?
I mean, kind of, not really, because like her offense focuses on leg attacks, yes, but at the same time, when she's not using the force hands, or she's not like she's a character that seems to be built around the idea that when she's using her real hands, that's when moves require actual effort.
Yeah. Yeah, we're definitely talking kind of like, I don't want to say Akuma, but almost kind of an Akuma character or an Oro character where she's held back, you know?
Yeah.
Which is always a fun trope.
Yeah, like it. And the thing with Shunai, to go back to him for a second, like that to me, the way I see it, the thing with Shunai is that Shunai is designed to suck. He is designed to be lame, like just straight up. From what I understand, the clothing clothing style, I guess, that he has is like well regarded as disliked overall in Japan. And just overall, like, he seems like a character where they were trying to make him so lame that it flips over to being cool, and they failed.
I mean, when he's just supposed to be the new young guy, because Kill can't be the young guy anymore. K-Dax
True.
can't be. Flash was never really that guy.
Ash was the dead guy.
Yeah, Flash's thing from the beginning was he's kind of a douchebag. That's his character. Strange as the douchebag, like protagonist, I guess. I'm ultimately fine with Shunai because he's, to me, that is what he is. He's the dorky, like, new good guy who's not quite so good at it as the other characters, you know?
I guess. Like,
But I haven't played through the story mode you have. I haven't
should,
been exposed to Shunai's actual character.
I don't remember Shunai's actual character. That's the thing. Like I remember Maiten doing stuff, kind of. I mean, he was pretty much only just in the background for Shunai. But really, the only things I remember about Shunai is that like he beats up Verse, and then his ending is that he goes to Tang Fu Ru, and he's like grandpa. And I was like, oh fuck, Shunai is Tang Fu Ru's grandson. I guess that is a character thing. And then I was like, okay, time to play characters that are actually interesting.
Nah.
Like I don't know. To me, Shuna is a character where like once this arc is done, and he then like if he's removed after his arc is done, then in like 5 years I won't remember him existing.
It's well, you're not going to be allowed to forget him. I'll tell you that right now because he's going to be around. If K-Dash and Ash are anything to go off of, he's going to be around for the rest of the series.
True.
Um, Has there been any other major KOF reveals in the last 2 weeks? Like, other than, like, K-Dash? Well, it's the last 3 weeks, I guess, because...
Last 4 weeks.
I fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't...
K-Dash, that's not a surprise at all.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there was K-Dash, and that was the last KOF reveal that I remember happening. Like, some of them may have happened, but if they did, then I didn't see them.
Yeah, I feel like I would have recalled at least one.
Yeah.
If that had happened, you know?
Yeah.
There has been some other fighting games.
Yeah, that was the big news then, after that.
Has there been?
Yes, the last Smash character. The Dark Soul.
Oh, yes. I sometimes
so here's
forget.
The thing. Here's the thing about that. Every time that I saw Sakurai's Twitter handle, I was really tempted to make a joke about how the next character is always going to be Sora, because I was like, well, his name is Sora Sakurai. Obviously, the guy likes the freaking the character, because I didn't know that Sakurai's company was also called Sora, but I never made the joke because I was like, well, that's a bit too obvious now, innit? And not Sora being in Smash, the joke itself is a bit too obvious to make, in my opinion. And then Sakurai added Sora.
Yeah, and says not my company, the character.
Yeah. And here's the thing. So people have done some sleuthing with both the Kingdom Hearts canon and also development times. And
I think I saw what you're about to say, but yes, carry on.
So, for the first point, Sora may have been, depending on how true what Sakurai said, which it's probably true. So depending on how true what Sakurai said about Mickey Mouse being like the most voted character, and him considering those defaulted to Sora because you're not gonna get Mickey Mouse in this game. Like that would require too much money. But
that and Smash is supposed to be a celebration of video games, not anything that's been in a video game ever. Which is the same reason why Goku was always a stupid idea.
Yeah. And so,
like, there's been plenty of good Dragon Ball games, by all means, but Goku is not a video game character. He is an animated character that has been depicted in video games. You know?
Yeah. And so apparently, back in 2015 or so, when they had that character poll, Mickey Mouse won the character poll, but because of the aforementioned reasons, those votes went to Sora. So Sora may have been the first DLC character for Smash. But he was the last one, because the guy whose name I'm forgetting, I think it's Nomura, the guy who makes Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts. So in the discussions, Kingdom Hearts 3 was probably in development. And so, with Kingdom Hearts 3's ending and how Sora is introduced in Smash with his reveal trailer, Smash may be canon to Kingdom Hearts for some reason. Because why not, I guess.
Yep, it's apparently where Sora went after Kingdom Hearts 3 for some reason.
Because he really wanted to beat up Sephiroth and Cloud again.
He doesn't have to. There just need to be another Kingdom Hearts.
It's okay.
Oh no, wait! There's no Final Fantasy characters in Kingdom Hearts now. Fuck.
Oh right, yeah.
Oh, that's the dumbest fucking change ever. It's like that's the whole fucking appeal of Kingdom Hearts. Is Final Fantasy.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing that may also have a canonical explanation. That's the worst part. So it really depends on where Kingdom or Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 or like whatever, however many parts there may be. It depends on how the continuity is broken of Kingdom Hearts 7 in the remakes, because people have been suggesting, and this is like, take this with a grain of salt because none of this is confirmed and it's just people speculating shit. But people have been discussing whether or not it's possible that Nomura is trying to merge all of the universes, and Final Fantasy VII will have a crossover with Kingdom Hearts through either Smash's power or just Smash being a sidetrack. Like maybe it's a thing where Final Fantasy VII Remake 2 ends up somehow contributing to however Cloud and Sephiroth were revealed for Smash, or something like that.
I can't see that happening because all of the unique Kingdom Hearts characters that Nomura loves as his own children are just as much Disney's intellectual property as Square's.
True.
So Square's legal team is going to tell, if Nomura tells Square's legal team, hey, I want to put Kingdom Hearts Man in the latest Final Fantasy, the Square legal team is going to tell him, okay, get fucked.
I mean, I was assuming that they would like allude to Cloud and Sephiroth somehow going to the Smash universe. Like I don't remember exactly. Like I think the Sephiroth just showed up, so he can work for however really. Cloud, I don't remember how Cloud was revealed for Smash, but like maybe they can work that in, and then freaking Smash is their next meeting, and then in Kingdom Hearts 4, whenever that happens, then we may have Final Fantasy characters again, or at least I'm hoping.
I'm not talking about canon. Is like Nomura can do whatever the fuck he wants with the multiverse. That's part of the nature of multiverse. Is that like you don't have to really bother writing it logically. It just does whatever you want it to. I'm talking about legally. There's no fucking way they can even touch anything from Kingdom Hearts because they have to deal with Disney.
I suppose.
I mean, I get why you want this. Don't get me wrong, but it's just not happening because, like, holy shit, Disney, you know.
I mean, for the Final Fantasy part, it would be Nintendo. That's a pain in the ass. But I mean, considering Square and Nintendo's freaking relationship, I mean, Mario RPG. Let's just leave it at that. Really.
Oh, I'm sure Nintendo and Square could get something worked out easy, but like,
I mean, Disney, do they want to?
I'm sure they do. You're focusing on the wrong company here.
I mean, I don't know.
Nintendo is a dickhead. Nintendo's a dick to fans, but not to other companies.
I mean, I don't know, because to me, with the way I imagine this potentially happening, the getting Cloud into Kingdom Hearts part would be through Smash, so it would be a Nintendo and Square thing. And then after Smash, in Kingdom Hearts' continuity, Nomura can just do whatever the fuck, really. Like at that point, he can figure out why Cloud is there at that point, because it's probably not canon to Final Fantasy anymore. Really, all I'm saying is that I want Kingdom Hearts 4 to have Red 13 and Kate Sith.
Kingdom Hearts 4.
Kingdom Hearts 4 is not happening
Yeah,
for another 20 years.
Yeah, for one thing, it won't come for 20 years. For another thing, Nomura has already demonstrated what he wants to do is get rid of every character in Kingdom Hearts that isn't a Kingdom Hearts OC. So Kingdom Hearts 4 not only won't have any Final Fantasy characters, it also won't have any fucking Disney characters. Nomura is just turning this into an excuse for him to write Naruto, really. Like he explicitly said, I think the Kingdom Hearts series has grown beyond Final Fantasy. And it's like, you dumb motherfucker, nobody gave a shit about Kingdom Hearts, and for the average person who isn't a 13-year-old girl, nobody still gives a shit about the Kingdom Hearts character. It's never been about that. It's from the beginning been about fucking Square and Nintendo not Nintendo, Disney crossing over. And now all this talk of fucking corporations has got me mixing up things.
Yeah.
That's all very, very stupid business that's not really related to fighting games. Fuck it all.
Kingdom Hearts 4 will feature a Super Mario RPG level. But Mario will be voiced by Chris Pratt. Anyway.
He's replacing Charles Martinet in the game now. This is extra cursed.
I mean, I wouldn't mind hearing freaking Chris Pratt's Wario. Or even better, he's Luigi. Anyway. But yeah, fighting games. Sora is in Smash. He has John Talbane shit. It's cool.
Yeah. I have no intention of playing him, despite the fact that I've beaten the first two Kingdom Hearts games. He is just one of those characters who will be there on the roster for me.
I don't own Smash, and if I owned Smash, I would probably already be playing freaking Ganondorf and Wolf, whose full name I will never remember because it's really stupid. Because in 64, I used to play Captain Falcon and Fox, so hey, it only makes sense.
What was I going to say? There was another little bit of news, or rumors rather, which I don't believe we got to talk about on the last Fighting Games R, which is that Iron Galaxy is supposedly working on getting Marvel and Disney together in talks again, and they are apparently in talks again.
Ah, yes, you are right.
Or Marvel and Disney, yeah. No, Capcom and Disney.
Marvel and Disney is gonna have a hard time discussing shit.
It's like a fucking person talking to their fucking hand or their foot.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So yeah, Marvel 2 may be happening
Marvel,
again.
That would be nice. Free now, Marvel 2 would be very, very nice.
Here's one thing, though.
What's that?
Who owns Ruby Heart?
Ruby Heart was the character they made to be the quote-unquote main character of the Capcom side opposite Cable.
Yes, but wasn't Ruby Heart like owned by SNK or something? I forget.
I don't know. I really don't know much about her other than she's an OC made to be the main character of the Capcom side.
Because I remember, was Ruby Heart in KOF 14? Did SNK license Ruby Heart out, or
no, Love Heart. You're thinking of Love Heart.
Oh yeah. Okay, so I just mixed up two pirate women, pretty much. Two red-headed pirate women. if I had a nickel for every red-headed pirate woman in fighting games, I'd have at least 2 nickels. Which isn't a lot, but you know, it's weird that it happened twice.
They have very similar designs as well. And they both are named something Heart, you know?
Yeah.
The difference is Love Heart was not made for KOF 14. She's from some gambling game, I think.
I feel like I remember hearing that SNK lost Love Heart's license, though. So somehow.
Yeah, I don't think she's their character, I think. I don't know whose character she is, but she's not theirs, I guess.
Freaking Sammy's.
I have no idea.
But who Sammy is, or just overall?
I have a vague idea of who Sammy is. Remind me.
Sammy was the arcade part of Sega, which split off recently.
Oh yeah, those money makers.
Yeah. I mean, that's why they split off. I mean, like, Sega split off of them, I guess, is a better way to put it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's why Sega arcade machines used to say Sega Sammy, I think.
That makes sense, yeah. The really big thing with Marvel 2 is, like, hypothetically, you think there's a chance that, well, do you think there's a chance that, like, this could start, like, a rush to, like, get all the old fighting games ported properly that aren't Street Fighter?
There's a chance. I hope so. And here's the thing. So remember how, I don't know how many episodes ago it was, probably a long ago, but we discussed how Harada has said that he wouldn't mind porting the old Tekken games but to newer consoles, but he said that the market research said that it wasn't desirable overall. Recently, this discussion actually came back up again with him, and well, okay, no, the discussion didn't come back up. Someone said something about an old game, and he brought it up, and he said that he thinks that it's the developers' responsibility to get their old games republished on newer consoles. So we may be getting more old games again, and I'm fine with that. Like, just
I got no complaints about more games. Yeah,
just shove Rollback into Tekken 5 Dark Resurrection, and I'm gonna be okay.
Yeah, and there's a I know I quote say I know I treat Sajam as like this super like wise sage I quote way too often in these fucking recordings, but like Sajam has a video where he's talking about like people displeased with like Strive. And he says, like, well, I think part of what the fighting game community needs right now is to go back and try a lot of really old games and find that there's a lot of really old games out there that they love and they didn't even know they'd love. Because the thing with fighting games is that they, as a genre, tend to age spectacularly. Because, like, broadly speaking, this sounds like a negative, but it's actually kind of a positive. Broadly speaking, the genre has not advanced much past Super Turbo. And that sounds like a negative, but it's actually kind of a positive because Super Turbo, like, just inherently, the classic Street Fighter 2 design is so strong. It's been able to make still good games on that core philosophy, that kind of base foundation, fucking 30 years later.
Yeah.
With that said, yeah, Super Turbo's kind of aged a bit poorly.
I mean, it depends, because I like, but not Super Turbo. I don't like. That's a funny thing with Street Fighter 2. I played the New Warriors, I think, or New Challengers. I forget which was the actual subtitle of it, but I think that's the version that I grew up with. And so I'm used to the slower-ish speed of it compared to Super Turbo, not having super moves. And I'm fine with that still. Like that holds up to me. I played that version of Street Fighter 2 relatively recently. I mean, I played it around the same time I last played Super Turbo, and I just didn't like Super Turbo as much.
Yeah.
I
think you and I both kind of agree with Mike and Ted that like Super Turbo is fine. It's a playable fighting game, but Champion Edition and New Challengers are better.
I don't know about Champion Edition. I forget what sets it apart, so I wouldn't know.
I think the Champion Edition was when they started to like actually properly rebalance the characters to make some not be quite so. Like I feel like Champion Edition was when they did stuff like giving Geef the fiery hand and tools like that turn characters into.
Yeah. I mean, my favorite thing about I think it was either Champion Edition or New Challengers was how air dashes were made to exist accidentally, completely, 100% accidentally. Air dashes just happen now in Street Fighter. Why? Why not?
What?
Yeah, Ryu and Ken have air dashes specific to them because air Tatsumakis were introduced in one of those, and they had no trajectory. Or they had a trajectory, but it was a rectangle. So you jumped up, you did a Tatsumaki, which moved you in a horizontal line, and then you fell down, which is the same trajectory that the air dashes have in anime fighters. So you can pretty much just use a Tatsumaki as an air dash with active frames.
I do remember that. Yes, I remember being very confused the first time I saw that because that is super not what Ryu and Ken can do in fucking modern Street Fighters.
Yeah, but that made them more fun to me because I'm used to Akuma who has more tools than both of them, and just having that small bit of more additional air mobility has really helped my enjoyment. Enjoyment words, pronounce them properly. Anyway, there was another version after that nerfed the Tatsumaki, so they had an actual proper trajectory, which made the air dashes work more like unis, which is fine for Street Fighter. I don't mind it. I don't like it either. Really, I stopped using them because funnily enough, air dashes, like proper air dashes, in the way that it had them when it was a rectangle, changed Street Fighter a lot. If you ask me, like Street Fighter 2. But when the air dashes only work in the same way that Uni's pounce attacks, or I forget what they called them. Whatever. But yeah, like when the air dashes only work like Unis, then you might as well not go for them because jumping in does pretty much the same thing, and like the movement wasn't slow enough to warrant that speeding it up, more or less. I guess is the best way to put it.
Oh man, which I guess we want to go back to the Marvel 2 thing.
Yeah, Marvel 2. Yeah.
Hypothetically, other than just the obvious stuff of like making it nice in 4K and 60 frames per second, the whole thing, give the rollback netcode, all that, well, mixed netcode. Then, like, what else would you say would be a really nice feature for them to add? Like,
Marvel
within
1.
reason, of course. It'd be nice to say, like, like, fucking, not all my favorite characters, but what'd you say?
Marvel 1. Like even just an arcade port of Marvel 1, like without netcode and shit. I'd be fine with Marvel 1 as a side game that you can go into the menu and just open up, just so you can experience it.
Oh yeah, of course it'd be super nice if they did like a MVC arcade collection the same way they did for Street Fighter, where there's like also X versus Street Fighter and X-Men Children of the Atom and so on. That'd be nice, yeah.
Yeah, but if we're limiting stuff to only Marvel 2, then
Well, here's a question linking off of what you said actually though, which is, correct me if I'm wrong here, but the arcade collection offered online multiplayer, but only for Third Strike, Alpha 3, and Super Turbo, right?
I don't think so. No. It did. It only had training modes for the competitive. Or no. Did it? Yes, I think it only had training modes for the competitive games. Did it only feature online play? I forget. Third Strike definitely had online play. Super Turbo definitely had online play. I think Champion Edition also had online play. And then Alpha 3 also had online play. You might be right. You may be right.
On that case, what games out of the MVC collection do you think would deserve multiplayer? Because I feel like they'd have to do, obviously, Marvel 2. And I feel like X-Men vs. Street Fighter has been infamous enough for its like bizarro, fucked up combos and competitive community that they give it multiplayer. But what else do you think would deserve multiplayer over the others?
I mean, I think Marvel 1 would deserve online multiplayer just because of the amount of assists it has.
I feel like my memory. I don't know what you're talking about.
When you choose a team in Marvel 1, you don't choose your second character doesn't do assists from what I remember. Instead, you choose your two characters that you can switch out on the fly, and then you also get to roll a roulette wheel more or less to choose an assist character, who are, most of them I think are non-playable characters who just come in and do an attack. And
interesting.
Yeah, and I think that really sets it apart from Marvel 2 and 3, which is why I would want them to include Marvel 1 with Marvel 2. And here's the thing, I played a lot more Marvel 1 than I played Marvel 2, so I have a lot more nostalgia.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was really what set it apart. Because like a lot of some of those assist characters also became like playable characters
Playable in level
later.
2, right?
Yeah, in like Roll used to be only an SS character, but then she became an Echo Fighter for Mega Man pretty much. From what I
The
remember.
shittier.
Yeah, and then stuff like that. Although Marvel One does have an exclusive character. So there's this character who may have only been playable in the Japanese version of Marvel One. That was a Japanese comic who sucked. That was his guy. He was shittier than like imagine if Phoenix Wright had the gimmick of Dan and was worse.
Yeah. That sounds great. Yeah, I do remember. Yes, I do remember the comedian character. Yes. I don't think he was exclusive to Japan. He was just really confusing in the States.
I don't remember. I just remember that like you had to go some loops to actually play him. But yeah,
Back in those days, yeah, that was the thing. Secret characters.
yeah. And so
Hopefully,
like
less loops you had to go through to play Akuma and fucking Super Turbo.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
man.
so that those are the reasons why I would want Marvel One to be
Yeah.
represented because like Marvel 2 is fine. Marvel 2 is a lot of fun. It has more characters. It has Hayato, but at the same time, Marvel One's assist system was a lot more in like okay. I don't think a lot more interesting is a good way to put it, but I feel like it like even though RNG ruins the game or like worsens the game competitively, I kind of like even if not the RNG part, I guess. But I just like the amount of non-playable characters who at least get to be assists in the game and stuff like that. Also,
Yeah.
Apocalypse's big Eclipse.
Yeah, and RNG even can like be competitively viable if it's balanced in a certain way. Which, knowing Marvel vs. Capcom, I doubt it was, but
I mean, I think it legitimately was just like it went through the character list or like it went through the character list in a line. I think there was I want to say like 8 or 10 rows of characters that you could get as assists, and then this was like 5 characters per row, by the way. So it would just cycle through them, and then you press the button, and it would stop on one. Like I think you could time it to get the ones you wanted. So technically, it wasn't completely RNG, but you just had to get good at the timing with the stopping of the roll. It was just
yeah.
roulette, more or less. Or like not roulette, slots. Yeah, slots.
Well, I'm sure the competitive community could find a way to make that a game.
And so yeah, like I don't know if it would be like competitively balanced or whatever, but I mean, technically, from what I remember, it wasn't like rigged completely or stuff like that. So it should be workable at least to an extent.
Yeah.
And then I don't even remember what other games would there be in that collection. So Children of the Atom, or Morocco Street Fighter, or X-Men Street
Yeah,
Fighter.
there
Yeah,
was Honor of the Atom, X-Men vs. Street Fighter, Marvel vs. Street Fighter, Marvel Superheroes, Marvel vs. Capcom 1, Marvel vs. Capcom 2. That'd be 6 games.
Children of the Atom. Children of the Atom should get net play just so people can play Akuma against each other.
Yeah.
That's the only reason. But I mean, if we're limiting that to only 4 characters, I don't remember Marvel vs. Street Fighter at all. Pretty much. I think I've played it.
It's the one that I know the least about. That's for certain.
Yeah, I think that's the one I played the least of as well, because I was like, well, there's already X-Men vs. Street Fighter and Marvel vs. Capcom. I don't really need Marvel vs. Street Fighter because like I can either just get the 2 freaking opposing forces in the World Warriors and the X-Men, or I can just go whatever, these 2 universes clash now.
Yeah.
And yeah, but yeah, I like out of those 6, if you limit it to 4 games, Marvel 1 and 2 should get net play. Children of the Atom should probably get net play. And then and then X-Men versus Street Fighter should probably get net play, I guess, just so freaking yeah, just because probably more people remember that, I guess, just based off of my anecdotal evidence of here's what I remember.
Yeah, and it's like famous as like a goofy, broken, silly fighting game where things are. Oh, what's the? There's like a word for. Is there a word for like broken fighting game? I guess it's a Kosoge fighting game, isn't it?
I suppose maybe. I don't remember enough. Actually, no, for certain, and I haven't seen people really talk about Children of the Atom aside from Akuma, so not Children of the Atom.
Children of the Atom, I think. Children of the Atom is considered good.
How did I confuse those two games in the middle of a sentence? Like I was thinking about one, and then just suddenly Children of the Atom. No, that's not the game I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Whatever. Although, to be fair, I really haven't heard a lot about Children of the Atom aside from Akuma. But freaking like X-Men cross Street Fighter. I actually don't think I've heard people really talk about it all that much aside from like, hey, that game exists too. Pretty much. So yeah.
I definitely know there's a Theory Fighter video on him talking about how broken the game is and how he loves how broken it is. But part of Theory Fighter's whole thing is he loves how broken minigames are.
I mean, really, what like all of these circles back to this, I think. But really, what we need, the fighting game community needs a Kusoge collection of at least Arxis games. But if it can be like a cross-company collection, it would be even better. And just release the most broken verse shit that is still playable that you can find. Just like, at least if you can secure the rights to it. But like, you know, imagine playing Hokuto no Ken with Rollback, dude.
There's nothing that can interrupt your fucking basketball combos.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of Rollback, actually, did you hear about how Melty Bloods is bad?
I heard about Melty Bloods is not great.
I don't know, like, I heard a lot of people complaining about like skipping and shit, which to me makes like, to me, if that amount of people are complaining about skipping, then I feel like at that point they're probably not just, you know, people on Wi-Fi complaining or like whatever. And it's actually just like it's about implementation of Rollback.
Probably, yeah. I mean, there's always time to fix it up, but yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, like, there was actually an interesting discussion about this, that I saw on the Fighters subreddit, where someone asked which is worse, like bad delay or bad rollback. Which I mean, the answer, the real answer is neither are really good, and the other answer is that it's really down to your preference. Do you prefer playing fighting games underwater, or do you prefer not seeing what the fuck's going on? Because those are your choices.
Yeah.
And like that's a big difference between us, because I prefer playing fighting games underwater because then at least I can process the information that's on screen. You prefer jumping shit.
Yeah, it pisses me off losing inputs and stuff like that. That happens with like when delay goes crazy and it just goes on.
I mean, my thing with the jumping stuff is that inputs also get eaten, and I also don't see what's going on. Like.
Yeah.
Like you know, freaking waiting for inputs to reach the other person when things slow down to like sub vanilla Street Fighter 2 levels of speed. when she goes that bad, then it is a test of patience, waiting for the move to actually like start going out, and then, oh no, can I actually block this? Like, is my input that I'm blocking this attack going through? Is it not? Only time will tell, and stuff like that. But at the same time, I get, like, you know, to me it feels like I can at least make an effort to get the input to register. Whereas if rollback goes bad, if rollback messes up or starts messing up for whatever reason, then to me it feels like I'm not like my inputs are probably going through. I don't know. I can't tell. Pretty much.
Well, at this point, the real question shouldn't even be, do you prefer bad rollback or bad delay? You know, it should be just don't have bad rollback, you know?
I mean, yeah.
And like, if you're updating an old game, it's more understandable. But when you're making a new game, it's more like, yeah, what happened? You know?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then
Anyways,
that's a scheduled rollback rant from me, I guess. I don't know. Like I didn't
yeah,
really shit talk rollback this time because like
it's the thing of like overexposure and having to listen to people repeat the opinions, same opinions too many times. Like you're just sick of like hearing people go on and on about rollback, and you'd rather see people make more criticisms that you think are less overstated. Like, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think you think there are bigger problems in the fighting game industry right now than rollback, and the whole rollback argument is overrated. And there's so many people advocating for rollback by now that it is no longer a unpopular position that needs to be said. Right?
the first two I don't know about, but the last one, yes, definitely. Like it's not even like I suppose the part of the issue for me is that like I don't really care about people saying like okay one half of my problem is people saying that that bad rollback is better than good delay, which is factually wrong. Like good delay good delay has less uses. Good delay like you know it can go wrong a lot more easily than good rollback. Good rollback is the best we have right now. I won't claim that it's not because then I would be stupid, but at the same time, look at freaking Street Fighter V's netcode. Or like, okay, look at pre-patch Street Fighter V's netcode. That's a better one because Street Fighter 5 is at least like workable now. But look at network patch Street Fighter 5's netcode and tell me that that's overall a better experience for everyone involved than relatively like mediocre setup of like Exert. Like, you know, where both people aren't like I was going to say, when both people aren't like on Ocean Apart. We played Exert on Ocean Apart and it was okay. It was manageable. Was it good? No, not really. But I mean, it was good enough that we could live with it. But yeah.
Yeah, it was manageable, but part of the thing is that I have like almost never played Exert offline, and I don't practice combos very much. So losing inputs wasn't really much of a problem. I even noticed. And
I didn't lose inputs.
Like,
that's the thing. Like, yeah.
What I was going to say is you do play Exert offline a lot, or at least you used to, and you didn't notice any particular problems.
Yeah, like yeah, no.
Well, hang on.
Yeah, what?
Well, part of the other thing is, despite the fact that you and I live on opposite sides of the planet, you and I tend to, for whatever reason, have really strong ping. And I have always wondered how the fuck that's happened. But like, what happens for people who have terrible ping? You know?
Yeah, true. That's a big part of it. Like ping, I suppose, is a bigger issue with the network connection with those things. But I suppose like that's the thing. Like ping is bad with both netcodes, really, because bad ping is how you get the both underwater stages and teleporting. From what I understand, with both network cycles. So like it's like, or not cycles. What the fuck is both network setups? Is that like bad ping brings out the worst in both of them, and it really sucks.
It does. So generally speaking, I would say with bad rollback, like if you've got super high ping and it's bad rollback, at least the match ends at some point, hypothetically.
I mean, then there's like the thing is, I suppose for me is that like I'm a lot less willing to give rollback like freaking whatchamacallit. Like I'm a lot less nice with rollback just because like, I'll give it a lot more scrutiny because of how high people hold it. And then there's things that haven't really happened with delay based fighting games for me. And like I don't really hear people complain about it happening with delay based fighting games. But I don't think I think it may not be an issue there as much or like at all. But things like these things have happened to us with rollback, and well, I don't really hold against Guilty Gear XX's rollback because it was fixed and it works fine now. But remember that time that we couldn't play Guilty Gear XX because the three of us somehow being in the lobby made it so the game either desynced completely in the matches, or just play like it just switch to using only delay based pretty much, or like not even like high ping delay based. I guess it was playing underwater.
Was that
And
really a problem of the net code though? Because that seems
yes,
like that was also that seems like a problem with the lobby system.
well, I, I don't know. I mean, we only really like saw it happen in the matches though. That's why I'm saying it like, that's why I'm finding it was a netcode problem.
Like, I get what you're saying and why you're saying it, but for my part, I would not like really say anything about that because I don't know what the fuck caused that, and I don't know if it was the net code or something else, and I don't know, so I'd rather not say on something I don't know, you know?
When I work off of the information I have. If the information changes or gets expanded, then I will change my opinion. That's pretty much how it works. Like I feel like that's how people should like. I feel like that's how functioning people work usually. Maybe I don't know. I'm not really functioning people, but I try to be.
What was I going to say? Like,
But yeah, like another thing I guess with the whole rollback thing is that like a lot of times when people bring up anything that's not rollback, not net play related, people seem dismissive of the criticism of fighting games as a genre whenever it comes up because oh well we don't have rollbacks, so obviously we can't try to make X and Y parts better, which I don't understand because rollback, from what I understand, now the GGPO exists, rollback should be relatively easy to implement if you actually give the fucking effort to put it into the game.
well, if you're putting it in from the beginning of game development, then it's easy.
That's what I'm talking about. Like I'm talking about new games with both of those things. Like when I don't know what to bring up exactly, whatever. But like when I see people discuss things like I think fighting games as a genre in their new releases need to do this or that differently, then all of times I see these opinions that are not starting off or at least featuring a rollback netcode. I see all of those dismissed because well we don't have rollback netcode, so obviously we can't have any other nice things.
Yeah.
Which like
Well,
yeah.
I think the first priority, no matter what, is making a good fighting game core, right?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter how good your netcode is. If the game sucks, then no, your people aren't going to want to fucking play it. I think the second priority for sales, well, okay, is the question quality or is the question generating sales and popularity?
I don't know. Usually it's a mixture of the two when people discuss this when I see it happen.
Well, if we're talking sales and popularity and mass appeal, the next question after making a good fighting game is content. Arcade mode endings, characters, unlockables, and so on. If the question is not mass popularity and sales, if the question is making a fighting game that is quality and will have longevity, then the easiest way to have longevity is to just make the game easier for people to play with each other. In which case, yes, the next step is netcode. Which I think is like one of those things that you can kind of see like the difference for games that are designed for competitive communities, like Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl is clearly not so much being designed to sell mass popularity, despite the fact that it's a licensed game of kids' licenses, but it's clearly being designed to have a long-running competitive base and basically finally get the fucking Smash Brothers Melee fucking player base to move on to another game.
Yeah. And I mean that's kind of why I'm not interested, but that's okay. Like I don't have beef with Nickelodeon existing because it's not aimed at me. I don't care. Like that's all it takes, really.
Yeah.
Like I start to have beef with things like these happening that when when it's changing pre-established things or stuff like that. We've been over this. But yeah.
It depends on whether or not those pre-established things need to go.
Yeah, that's true too.
But generally speaking, just because, like, it depends on what thing you're talking about. Because I can't talk nebulously about such things, right?
Yeah, I'm just like I was just saying that that's a vague statement because I've been on this podcast complaining about the new things in both Tekken, in Strive, in freaking. I mean, I haven't really like shit on the changes Street Fighter made because I just didn't buy the game and I was okay with that until they just put it like until it got to a state where I could freaking stomach it and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
that kind of leads into a question. Has there been any game that has made like? Has there been any sequel that has made changes that you were a fan of in fighting games in the last 10 years?
Yes, even Strive. That's the thing. Even Strive. Because I think the new RC mechanic is really fun. Like, okay, I don't know if it's really fun anymore because I haven't played with it in the freaking recent memory. But the idea of the RC mechanic and how they changed it is really interesting. And I would like to play about with it in a game where it doesn't feel like the game is forcing me to not actually play.
Oh, I heard there was an update lately where they were trying to open up Gatlings more. Was there anything about that?
I haven't heard about opening up more or opening up Gatlings more. I heard about them changing how like air maneuverability, not air maneuverability overall, just how air moves or air attacks work pretty much. Which, from what I understand, should be a slight nerf to Soul because he was pretty much the only character who could open up people with air attacks, more or less.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, it
I
sounds
assume,
like Soul's the only character who can do lots of things in this game.
yeah. Someone really needs to stop praying for Freddie Mercury. He's too strong.
Yeah, Freddie Mercury has always been too strong. Are you kidding?
True. But yeah, like yeah, Strive did that. Oh, what else was that I liked that were like big changes? Hmm. What was the amount of time you gave me?
In the last 10 years.
Okay, 10 years. So that would be 2011 to now. So Street Fighter 4 doesn't count, which is good because I
Oh,
don't.
no, it just occurred to me, last 10 years includes Exard.
Yes.
Then
I
again,
mean,
Exard didn't change that much from X2. There was Danger Time, which I don't think either of us are particularly like, oh man, Danger Time! You know?
yeah. I mean, there was a good addition to the RC mechanic with Exert, in my opinion, just because like I need to slow down. My brain can process Guilty Gear usually, but I can't process Guilty Gear and Roman Canton at the same time yet. So I'm fine with the slowdown.
Yeah, and the RC just winds up having a like alternative utility there.
Yeah. So that what else came out? 2011 MK9 MK9
It's
it
fucking
had good
improvement
story.
over the 3D games, that's for certain.
Yeah, like I feel like there's a lot of things to say that were new about MK9. Like, okay, the tag team mode. That's the thing that's shown brightest for me. The tag team mode. It was stupid. It was unbalanced, but it was fun.
Oh yeah,
And then,
like people,
yeah,
like I'm pretty sure every tag team combination in Mortal Kombat 9 has an infinite that you can find.
probably. And what else really released in the last 10 years? Did when did Tekken 6 release?
I don't know.
I
Tekken
can look
Tag
it
2
up.
was like 2011, wasn't it?
I forget. We'll see in a second. I'm looking it up. So Tekken 6 release date. Just overall. Give me a number. Okay, 2007. Wow, it was a launch title. Pretty much.
What?
Yeah.
Damn.
And then, yes, 2011. Tekken Tech 2 is 2011. So, Tekken Tech 2 had Jinpachi. That was a change.
Yeah. Okay, characters is different. Characters is different. That's
I mean, I don't really know. Tekken Tech 2 didn't really do many things different, honestly, than like the normal Tekkens do. Wait, but yeah. What else? There was MKX. There was MKX. That was
I
him.
can't believe, like,
Yeah.
like MKX. I guess someone could be like a really huge fan of the run mechanic.
I suppose. I never used it. And again, I never tried playing MK3 competitively, so I didn't really have a reason to use it.
My understanding is there was some serious stuff you could do. I was just never able to get it down. It was actually kind of like
It was like
bizarrely
FADCs.
difficult for a NetherRealm game.
It was like FADCs,
You know what I mean?
from what I understand.
Kind of, yeah.
So yeah, go ahead.
No, I wasn't gonna say anything.
Well, I was
particularly.
just going to continue with the list of what may have been released. When did BlazBlue Chrono Phantasma, not Chrono Phantasma, Central Fiction
Definitely
release?
both of them definitely released in the last 10 years. I know that. Central Fiction probably would have been like 2016.
I can check. So BlazBlue.
Central Fiction may have been 2017 or 2018. It has been impossible for me to keep track of time during COVID.
I can't keep time at all, regardless of COVID. 2015, yes. BlazBlue Central Fiction added Susano as a playable character, and also Nines.
Again, characters don't count.
Yeah, I know. I feel like there was something in Central Fiction. Oh, I forget. Did I like the Chronicles mode better? Whatever. Doesn't matter. Doesn't count. What fighting games even released? I'm actually just gonna type into Google. What fighting games released in the last 10 years? Ah yes, what fighting games released in The Last of Us 2? Thank you, Google.
What fighting games released in The Last of Us? That's right. It's Golf with Your Dad Simulator 2020.
Okay, this is a scoffy site. I'm actually just gonna leave. List of fighting games. Sure, Wikipedia. That should work. Oh no, you don't have a time-based thing. Never mind.
I like Wikipedia just trying to list all fighting games. Like, who even at Wikipedia decides what determines a fighting game?
Good question. There's probably a team of people running that page. There usually are. A team of people running any page, really. But yeah. What else was there that I can remember then? Injustice didn't really do anything for me. So...
Yeah.
What other games? Tekken 7 didn't really do it. Like, Tekken 7, the only really big change about Tekken 7 is that Akuma is canon to Tekken now for some reason. Which, I mean, I'm completely cool with it, but, like, I don't know, like, I don't think that counts.
Yeah, there we go. There's one new game where I'm not fond of a challenge. Tekken 7 no dodge and no shots.
You might want to repeat that because your internet ate it.
That's one new fighting game where I'm not fond of a change. Tekken 7, Rage Arts, and Rage Drives.
Ah, yeah. Yeah.
At the same time, like, I accept that Tekken 7 just isn't for me, you know? As much as Tag 2 is, right? Tag 2 is, like, I think it's just an inevitable thing with every fighting game series. You're going to have one that you pick as your favorite, and the other ones you might have individual issues with, but it's like, yeah, it's just not my game, you know?
I mean, I have issues with my favorite as well, because my favorite is Vanilla Tekken 5. Not even Dark Resurrection. And Vanilla Tekken 5's customization sucked ass, but it was the best we had. And, you know, it also has Jinpachi.
It was the style at the time.
Yeah. But yeah.
Man, you should be able to put onions on Kazuya's belt.
I mean, no, we need to wait until Shrek becomes a DLC character for Tekken, then they add belt onions.
Okay. You didn't understand the reference I was making!
No, I get it, it's Abe Simpson. But
Damn it!
But Shrek is more likely to be added than Abe Simpson. Simpson, words, yes. Anyway.
That would be a good Tekken character, though, fucking Abe Simpson.
I mean, he's Dr. Boskonovich's Echo Fighter.
Yeah. Was there not that time where he beat up that fucking hobo? You're supposed to paint my chicken coop or whatever like that.
I forget. I don't remember. Probably, maybe. I don't know.
Fucking just take a clip of that scene and uh add the oh damn it, what's that really good song from Tekken 5?
Moonlit Wilderness?
Moonlit, yeah, throw Moonlit Wilderness in the background of that.
Moonlit Wilderness wouldn't really work.
Yeah, but do it because it's inappropriate.
I suppose.
That's the meme.
Oh, but yeah. What other fighting games even released? Arms. I never played Arms. There you have it. That's the greatest contribution Arms has had to fighting games. I never played it. 10 out of 10. Yeah. I don't remember. But like this is the thing. This is the thing. Like, remember how I went on all of those rants about how fighting games that are aimed at my demographic are not being made anymore? This is a part of it. I don't remember like 90% of the fighting games released because they're shit like fucking Battle for the Grid. There you go. I remember the game that came out recently. I don't like Battle for the Grid. So I can tell you if it made any particular additions to the genre that I like, but you know.
Well, when you say like games that are made for your demographic, what do you mean?
People who are more into like the execution heavy stuff, more or less, like, you know.
Really?
Like, well, okay. Here's the best way I can put it.
You're the most execution heavy guy I know. You're way more execution heavy than I am.
I mean, I suppose, but like to me the thing is. Oh no! Did you hear? I said that the games that aren't made for them.
Oh, I'm confused. Sorry, what?
I'm confused. So that's where the discussion went.
To me, what it sounded like you said was the demographic that they is no longer being like the demographic that is now being hit is execution heavy stuff, which isn't you.
Oh,
and
no.
I was like, what?
No, I said the opposite.
Oh, okay, the opposite. That makes more sense because I was like, what the fuck?
Yes, the people like me are just not being pandered to. The people who don't know how to do a half step back forward. No, that I said a really hard input. No, the people who can't do a down forward punch. There you go. That's my demographic. The people who can't do that.
Yeah.
It probably sounds like I'm being really fucking full of myself and just shitting on people who can do that. Like, I understand the need for games like that, and I don't have a problem with games accommodating that as long as it's an optional thing that you can change in the option settings or like when choosing characters. I'm completely fine with playing that way because like I learned how to do hard execution heavy inputs because I like to do them, and I like the chance that I can fuck up. Like it really makes things a lot more tense for me, and I find that fun. Some people don't find that fun, and that's okay. Fighting games can add stylish mode. I don't have to play it, and you know, people who need it can play it. It's okay. It's just that fighting games have been making stylish mode the default way to play, with no option to make the more harder inputs available, and that kind of makes me sad.
Yeah. There's again, I know it sounds like I just repeat a lot of Core A and Sage Jam because I do, but there was recently a Core A video
I watched it and I was like, for 80% of the video, I was like, maybe I'll actually agree with this video. And then he finished talking about the people, I'm forgetting what he, like, got the two demographics into, what the actual words he used were. But the innovators,
innovators.
Yeah, when he started talking about the innovators, and he basically just said, "Oh, the innovators are the people who just like fucking bottom mash and shit like that." Very much, or at least it felt like he was fucking saying that. like, you know, when we got to the innovators, and he's just like, "Oh well, it may seem like these are the people who like play the game for a week and then just drop it or like whatever, but they are important too." It felt like he was talking down to the people like me.
Well, I don't think that he was necessarily. I don't think that I think you were taking an offense there where none was intended.
It's a possibility.
What he also largely said was everyone is a mix of honer and innovator, right?
Yeah.
And some people just lean more one way than the other. And correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't he at some point say in the video that's part of why, for many people, a game's launch is its most fun point because it's still the discovery period and you get to be an innovator. Whereas the longer a game goes on and the more it becomes stale water, the more there is no capability to innovate and the more you only get to hone.
Yeah.
I think that is a big part of his point. And I think one of the other things, like one of the other big points there he said is that like pretty much any game, unless it is entirely RNG and entirely like turn-based, is going to be inherently something of a honer's game eventually.
Eventually, yeah.
Where a game like chess, which is ordinarily thought of as beginner friendly, is also very, 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 very honer friendly. It's been around for 500 fucking years. Everything that can be done has been done in that game. So it's kind of the thing with the simplification of games is that unless you are either constantly changing the game with every fucking update, which will just drive a lot of people away, the honers away, or unless it's an entirely RNG based, turn based game, then it will inevitably be a game where the honers will, with time, become better than new players who do not match the same practice. Regardless of how much you simplify the game, even in like something like Fantasy Strike that was made to be as simplified and easy to get into as possible, it is still a competitive game, which means that people who have spent hundreds of hours with Fantasy Strike are always going to fucking crush people who have spent hours of fighting game. Singular hours of time with the game, you know?
Yeah, I mean, but that's the thing. Like to me, that argument sounds like innovators are only new people, which to me is like, I suppose it's just a difference of view on where honing and where honing and where innovating stops and begins. Because to me, a game like Guilty Gear Xrd has a lot of possibilities, a lot of shit that you can learn. And I mean, you look up the frame data and how the moves work? Yes. Or you cannot, and you can do the innovating stuff if you do so desire. Like, you can't just turn it into a honer's game now just because people have mined out all of the information you can out of the game. Or you can just not pay attention really and just learn shit at your own pace. And part of this, like part of the problem with newer games for me is that I can't not just not read other people's stats and just freaking figure out how things work on my own, or like I can technically, but there's not as much. You get where I'm going, I think. And like that's a thing where I can see an argument that says that since I'm not playing Guilty Gear Xrd when it came out, that I'm not an innovator because most things have been tested, but they have not been tested by me. And as long as I ignore that freaking the data and I don't present it as new, I don't present my findings as new, I think that's fine.
Yeah, I don't think he was really talking about like that though. Like, I mean, Core A is fundamentally a game, fundamentally a series of video essays discussing theory regarding fighting game design in a lot of ways and competitive mentality. And I think in this particular instance, he was talking about competitive mentality rather than enjoyment that can be derived from a game. Because from your perspective, what you're arguing for is a person can always enjoy a fighting game, can always innovate in a fighting game, no matter how old it is, if they simply keep themselves blind to the fact that the information is already out there and discover the information themselves. Whereas what Core A was trying to talk about was talking about the difference in mentality and what people enjoy, right? And he wasn't going into detail about how innovators come to enjoy what they enjoy and the ways they can enjoy what they enjoy, but rather just talking about the difference between the two and going more into detail about the honer mentality, particularly because the honer mentality is the one that does scare so many people off from getting into fighting games, you know?
Yeah.
Like I'm sure that Cora like there would be no disagreement in that regard of what you've just said about being able to innovate in any game. But I think it's just not what he was talking about, you know?
Yeah. I can see it.
Which that is like inevitably the thing. Like you can see that with fighting games, how everyone kind of differs a little bit and has more one direction or more the other. And like I think, of course, it's also a big divide for me and you because
Yeah.
I'm generally a bit more of a honer than you are. Like I get a kick out of finding like, oh, this secret hidden technique, and then I did it in the game, and I'm like, I did the hidden technique. I am the good. Whereas if you did that, you looked it up and you did it online. If it was a particularly difficult one, you'd be proud of yourself for pulling off the input. But if it's not a particularly difficult one, you're like, okay, whatever. Someone else already did that.
Pretty much, yes. I mean, the part of that as well is that like you have to like this is where we get into the deep psychological shit with fighting games of where like where do you start considering a string of inputs a combo? Because like for one, I don't really count combos as hits. I count combos as moves, as in like different inputs. So like a combo is I don't know. Like I feel it depends. Like when it comes to move count, the combo depends on the actual game itself. But it's about like 3 to 5 moves at least, or when the hit counter goes closer to double digits is when a combo begins for me. Because technically, yes, a crouching jab into a Hadouken is a combo. It's just not a particularly interesting one.
Yeah, I don't have anything in particular to say about that. That is a mentality difference, I guess. But that's also just like partly etymology, you know?
Yeah.
For me, that like if it connects with if it all connects, then it's a combo, and like you can't get out of it once it starts. It's a combo.
I mean,
whereas if you're a blocking person, it's a block string, you know. But like I can understand why you consider them to be the same because it is largely just a language thing, and despite how Mike can be a persnickety asshole, language is a very shifting, organic thing.
Yeah. I mean, even with that, like you say that only a string of moves that people can't block out of is a combo, but technically that's a true combo. if we're talking about like being freaking persnickety about language, a true combo is when there's a string of hits that the enemy can block. If the enemy has a chance to block but may not, then technically that's still a combo. It's just not one that you're guaranteed.
That's another thing of like also just games, because in like Street Fighter, there's no such concept as like a false combo. Whereas in Guilty Gear or BlazBlue, there very much is a thing such as a false combo.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, technically, I feel like Street Fighter might have a thing as false combo, but it really depends on your enemy as well. aside from just the inputs itself.
Yeah, well, the way I perceive it, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, is that a false combo is one that you can air recovery out of, which is not something that Street Fighter has as a mechanic.
But I don't know. I don't have what most people consider to be a false. I don't know what the definition of a false combo is to most people. To me, a false combo is a combo that can be broken in any means. So if you can burst out, not burst out of it because that can happen anytime. But if you can block out of it, if you can recover out of it, then technically that's a combo. If you make it a part of that the enemy recovers. What happened?
No! Oh god! Throughout this whole discussion, I've been playing Devil May Cry 3 because I'm a fucking asshole with ADHD. And you'll never guess what just happened while I was listening to you.
Combo? New combo?
Not only combo, but easy mode is now selectable.
I see.
During the fucking first Virgil fight!
Nice. But yeah, so where was I? Oh yeah.
I'm sorry, keep going, yeah.
So a false combo is a combo that can be broken by enemies, which includes recovery. At the same time, if you try to come up with a combo and you make recoveries a part of it, then that's not a combo break. That's a reset.
Ugh.
Like that's the big thing with shit like this is that like technically is it a combo break and you're doing a second combo? Yes. But it's a reset because whatever. If it goes in, it's a reset. If it's not, then it's a combo break. I guess that's the best way to put it. Like, which makes no sense.
Yep.
So yeah, where, where were we? With just general discussion, I forget. Was there any more announcements that we forgot about? Probably.
I feel like there was news. Yeah, but I'm losing my fucking mind trying to figure it out. Because, like, it's not Street Fighter. I know that.
No, I feel like it was like an indie game or something, or like something on the smaller side. That's an announcement recently. Aside from like Demona or whatever her name is, the chick who has been waiting for 3,000 years, was that it either was or is getting added to Battle for the Grid.
Yes, she's been waiting for 5,000 years. Now she conquers the Earth.
Yeah. So yeah, she's getting added. Cool. I have no horse in that race, so hey, cool.
I'm just happy because the meme woman is there.
Yeah, true. It took her to. Okay, I was not saying it took her too long to get there, but that's the meme. Yes, that's kind of her point.
I feel like that was actually how they announced her, was showing her doing that.
I mean, good
Wasn't
on
it?
them. I don't know. I didn't watch the trailer.
Understandably.
But yeah, good on them. If they win on the joke, then good on them. I feel like there was something else. Whatever. Well, I don't know.
I mean, I gotta ask, whenever we did download Battle for the Grid a while ago to try and play it with Ping, way back in the Xbox fucking Game Pass days, did you not look at that roster and go, where's the meme woman? Because I did.
No, I looked at that roster and I was like, why? Where are the freaking the oh, what was that? The mythical morphing Power Rangers. Those are the ones I think. Those are the ones I grew up with.
I don't know which ones to go up with.
I mean,
I think I may have gone up with the classics.
I don't know. There was a lot of different Sentai that got freaking made into Power Rangers. There was the mythical morphing Power Rangers. There was Wild Fury. I think that was the name of that series where they were all animal people. It was cool. I mean, I didn't really watch it. Funnily enough, I watched two different seasons of Power Rangers, and I have toys from the Wild Fury one, which I didn't watch.
Yeah,
But
that's how it went as a kid.
there was also the Samurai Force or whatever. I don't remember the name. They were just samurai. That's pretty much it. They had sword
They've
things.
added at least one from that one. I know that.
Yeah, I think so. But yeah, last I remember the roster, or at least when we played Battle for the Grid, they didn't have any of the mythical morphing Power Rangers, which I was like, well, that kind of sucks because now I have no characters in this game. And then I played Pepsi Man, whose name I will never remember.
Not?
Whose name I will never
Why
remember.
not Pepsi Man is a question we should all ask ourselves every day.
I mean, honestly, genuinely, if they somehow get the rights to that Pepsi Man, I might actually buy the game. Like my
That's
dislike.
dedication to the product is what that is.
Yeah. I mean, like my thing is that like I just dislike Battle for the Grid's gameplay. Like I have no particular care for Power Rangers, but I mean I'm okay with Sentai. Like I could play a Sentai game if I really wanted to, and the graphics aren't the greatest and whatever really. But like, I don't like the gameplay. I would put up with the gameplay if Pepsi Man was actually playable, with his freak ass mouth. That's one of his supers. Man. But like, yeah, I guess that is our game design thing that we can discuss now that Battle for the Grid game came up. Is that people like a touch of that's really is once again the point of discussion. But like, I see people talk about how people are complaining about like Marvel 2 not being playable on newer consoles and stuff like that, and like people who like harder execution feeling left out of the fighting game community at the moment and stuff like that. And why don't those people just go and play Battle for the Grid? To which the answer is, not all of us like Touch of Deaths.
Then why ask for Marvel 2?
True. I mean, I didn't ask for Marvel 2. If it comes out, I'll get it because I'm down with it. But it wasn't any of my priorities. I wouldn't mind Plasma Sword. Please, Capcom, help. Anyway, so yeah, that's my biggest thing against Marvel. I think just as a series is that I don't like that Touch of Deaths, and Touch of Deaths are something that will eventually happen with fighting games that have as much combo freedom as stuff like Guilty Gear and Marvel has. But the big difference that I always bring up between Guilty Gear and the Marvel set of designing hyper games, the big difference is burst. And I wouldn't mind if Marvel had burst. I would really like if Marvel had burst, in fact.
See, Marvel would do well to have burst, I think. But I mean, with Marvel, I think it's mostly fine, largely because of the existence of 3 characters, right? You have tag teams.
Yeah,
so it's not really a Touch of Death. It's a 3 combos to death.
I mean, I suppose, but the big complaint people have about Touch of Death is that, oh well, I can't play the game anymore, which I can sympathize with, and that's why I'm saying that I would like burst to be added, because I just overall like burst better than things like advancing block and stuff like that, or advancing guard and stuff like that. And also, if you have a burst, then if you waste it, then that's your fault. Save them for the Touch of Death.
Well, that's part of the meta, though, of having the 3-man teams. Is like, do I build my team as like 1 character who's supported by 2, or 2 characters who's supported by 1, or do I try to pick 3 characters who I know I can work independently, but may not be quite so good at assisting, right? Because if you get hit by touches of death a lot, then you're probably going to want to pick on basis of, well, I need to pick 3 characters who I'm decent with independently and don't have to rely on assists for. Whereas, other players might go, fuck it, I'll take, like, 1 guy who's super strong on point, and my other 2 characters are going to be Frank West and Jean Grey, right?
Yeah. Here are my characters. 4 points into Akuma, and then 1 point Dan, and 1 point freaking Hibiki.
Yeah.
Hibiki was actually really good in CVS.
I mean, it's all, is there any game other than Hokuto no Ken that is known as a 1v1 fighter that still has Touch of Death combos?
I mean...
Because, I don't count Guilty Gear BlazBlue because of burst.
I mean, without burst, I don't think so. Maybe, I think Persona had burst, didn't it? And it
did, yes.
Is Persona a team fighter? I don't think it is.
No.
But yeah, it did have burst, so yeah. I don't know how we'd count Basara Cross. Because I think Basara Cross does have Touch of Deaths, or at least Infinites, which technically, or Touch of Deaths with a bit more setup, I suppose. But
it's taking unnecessarily long.
Yeah. And I think that was like, but I forget if Basara Cross has tag team mechanics, because I know that you can choose an assist, and they work like Personas did in Persona Arena. But do we count it as a tag team mechanic? Probably.
I have no idea.
And then what other games are there that hyper and had Touch of Deaths? I don't think Darkstalkers ever went that boss to the wall, but I may be wrong.
Darkstalkers had a very specific combo system, though. Well, excuse me, no, it had a very specific stringing normal system, but I never actually got that deep into Darkstalkers combos.
Yeah, me neither. The last time I played Darkstalkers was when I knew how to do Hadokens and Shoryukens, and that was all of my motion knowledge. So, a bit of a time ago.
I mean, of course, there's always like a lot of old games where there's 1 character who has an infinite.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd qualify those really as touch of death games. You know, it's
Yeah,
just
that's a touch of a
unbalanced.
character. Yeah. I mean, if you're counting a single character as freaking doing infinites as touch of that games, then Street Fighter 5 is the biggest touch of that game for that one patch where before Dan got nerfed.
Yeah. Technically, he still is, as long as RNG is on your side.
I mean, true. But I don't know if I like the RNG is not kind to most of us.
No, that's kind of the idea of RNG.
Yeah,
It does work for Dan, though.
true. But yeah. Yeah, other than that, I don't know, cause like, funnily enough, freaking like it. When I see people discussing games, like newer people and stuff like that, they're like, "Oh well, I don't want to get touch of that touched of death." I guess I don't know. That touched. What would be the
Yeah.
term? But yeah, like I don't. Yeah.
I have no idea.
But yeah, like a lot of people's complaints that I hear recently about fighting games, and by recently I mean in the past, like, I don't know, 3 months, is that I don't know, actually more than 3 months probably, but whatever. But like usually it's less about like being able to get into the competitive side or anything, and it's more people complaining about touch of deaths, which, like, once again, I can sympathize. I just don't know if it's that big of an issue. As in, like, Marvel should probably get it fixed, and I don't know where else it's a big issue. It's only Marvel that I can think of.
I mean, that's just inherently going to be the scariest fucking thing about competitive fighting games for anyone coming in. So it's like, wow, you're telling me I don't even have the fucking chance to learn? I just get annihilated instantly, you know?
Yeah.
Because, like, people have an idea. Like, I think people generally have an idea of, well, unless they're a raging narcissist, which most people tend to be, but people generally go in with these some vague idea of, I'm probably not going to be the best. I'm going to go up against someone who's better than me. But in a game like Street Fighter, they're like, well, the match will go on long enough that I'll still get my hits in. You know, Marvel, though, they have this idea that they're going to get hit right out of the gate with a combo starter that starts the infinite, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I have some experience with that because Goku sure as hell made me motivated, let me tell you what, brother. But, you know.
One thing we actually haven't talked about, though, is, like, how many characters in Marvel have touch of deaths meterless versus touch of deaths with meter? Because that is a big difference, and also with assists, right? Because there are some that only work with certain assists.
I mean, I don't know. The one touch of deaths that I ever came up with was I ran a team of Akuma, Ryu, and Deadpool. The best Shotos of Street Fighter, and like that was, I think that was like completely every fucking thing that you can imagine. Just like waste all of the meter on Thor, and Thor dies. So like it was a touch of death on pretty much any one character. Then there's still two to deal with. But you know.
Yeah, that's always the question in team games with blowing a load of meter is like, oh, well, we deleted that one character. There's two more. But sometimes you need to delete that one character.
Yeah, but I mean, do you ever really, realistically speaking, do you ever really need to delete Thor? Like, I don't think you do.
No, God, no. If there's any character who I'd say is at the low priority list for Marvel 3 deleting, it's Thor. Marvel Infinite, I could say, sure, Thor might be a threat in that game, but not 3, no.
Although Thor did have some funny moments in that session I had against Goku, where he gets zooming all over the place with Virgil, and I did in the air. I air recovered, and I did Thor's super in the air. Goku teleported above me because he wanted to hit me with something, and he died.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of that Thor super.
I'm not. Like, I don't. It feels a bit too like situational to me, but at the same time, I played Hayato in Marvel 2, who has no good supers really.
Yeah.
I mean, he has a Shangoku Satsu. That's cool. But I mean, aside from that, both of his supers that I can remember are utility supers.
Yeah, it's. I mean, sometimes you need utility supers, and it depends on the team.
I mean, I don't remember. I think the team I used to play in 2 was Hayato, Akuma, and Strider. So I was probably fine using the utility supers.
Oh man, I'm hopeful to see what comes out going in with that.
Yeah.
All right.
So did you play
Let's
anything
see.
this week? Because I don't think there were any other news that I can think of, at least.
Oh, it was less like this week and more like the past 4 weeks. But yeah, I believe a week or two ago when I was all excited and hyped up to get on to Fighting Games R the next day, and then I missed it because my sleeping schedule was fucked. But
Yeah.
before that, I did play Capcom vs. SNK 2 a little bit because I was feeling like playing it.
All
And
right.
yes, Capcom vs. SNK 2 is still the good fighting game.
The one
I
good
would
one.
love. Yeah. I would love for it to be ported to a platform other than the PlayStation 2 so I don't have to play with the PlayStation 2's tiny baby controller.
All right. Congratulations. Oh, sorry, Marvel's fucking Marvel's Capcom 2. Yeah, good job, Addy. CVS 2 is now on the PlayStation 3.
What? Explain.
CVS 2 is on the PlayStation 3.
Explain.
No, it's flat out just on the marketplace. You can buy it.
Oh shit.
I've told you. I've been telling you
Well,
this
they're
for the
shutting
past.
down the PS3 marketplace in a month, aren't they?
Yes, get CVS 2 quick.
Oh fuck me.
But like, I've been telling you this for the past 2 years.
I know you have, but it's like, am I just gonna rush out to buy a fucking PS3? You know?
Yeah.
That actually would have been possible back in North Carolina, I think a lot more. But now, yeah, I don't think there's anyone selling PS3s out here.
Yes, the cow.
Yeah, the cat or a raccoon, maybe. Hopefully, it stole one from someone else's house.
Yeah.
What am I saying? The people out here still haven't heard of the fucking PlayStation 2.
Nice. Do you mean there's people?
These people are still playing Atari.
They're people to you?
I don't need any better games than Pong.
But yeah, freaking. What was I going to say? I mean, CVS 2. If CVS 2 gets released, then I'd be all for it. Apparently, Mark of the or was it Mark of the Millennium? CVS 1. Apparently, that has a PC port that got a rollback added recently. Apparently.
An emulation?
No, I think it's on Steam, or at least it's supposed to be on Steam. But I don't know, because the last I heard of of the recent release of CVS 1, it was only on the Switch. So probably no rollback. Just all things considered.
I know there was some. I know they were releasing one of the SNK made ones on the Switch. I want to say it was their mobile games.
Yeah, that was released as well. But before that, I think they released the Mark of the Millennium as well.
Yeah, I need to look into that.
Or is it Millionaire Fighting? I forget. Is Mark of the Millennium 2?
I believe they're both two, because in Japan it's Millionaire Fighting, and in the West it's Mark of the Millennium, because Millionaire Fighting is the kind of subtitle that only really works for people who don't speak English.
So what was the subtitle of CVS 1?
I think it was just CVS 1.
No, there was a subtitle. I remember. I'm looking it up.
Yeah, feel free to, because I got no fucking clue.
Because I remember there being a stupid subtitle. Okay. Okay, no, that's the series. That's okay. I need the game.
Yeah.
Capcom vs. SNK Millennium Fight 2000. So there you have it. That's the stupid name.
Really? Because they used the Millennium title twice.
For both of them, yes.
Because then I'm just looking over here at my copy of CVS 2, and it says Mark of the Millennium on it.
Yes. CVS 1 was Millennium Fight, and CVS 2 was Mark of the Millennium. Why not?
That's great.
We don't need to come up with a new name. It's okay.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Man.
yeah. Did you figure out anything new about CVS2? I guess.
Nothing in particular. Just having a lot of fun, just messing around with a lot of the characters. I did dick around with Aism Bison. I am not nearly like. So there's of course, the famous Aism Bison paint the fence combo, right?
I suppose I haven't seen it, but I can
So
imagine.
okay, so Bison has a move in that game. Only CVS2 and Omega Variation Street Fighter 4 does Bison have a move called the Psycho Sever. And CVS2, he makes a motion of putting his hand in the air and then kind of slapping downwards with it.
A bitch slap.
Yeah. And in Aism, it's like in Street Fighter Alpha, but even stronger. It enters custom combo mode, and any move cancels into any other move. And it also activates juggling, which I think is a big difference. I want to say is a big difference from Alpha 3. And it's fucking brutal because the Psycho Sever not only combos into itself real quickly in Aism, but it also does not have any pushback, I believe, at least not while you're juggling. So Bison just needs to do a sweep to knock you into the air, and then he can just start rapid firing the Psycho Sever animation, and Bison just starts repeatedly slapping downwards in front of him with a purple hand because he's Bison. And it looks like Bison is trying to paint a fence purple.
Nice.
And it's the notorious paint the fence combo because it just goes on so fucking long, and there are so many Bison players who do it in CVS2.
I see.
And I was able to keep it going for like, oh boy, like 30 hits. Well, not 30 hits, that was too many, but like something like 15 hits of just Psycho Sever over and over again in practice mode, just sticking around. And like,
and then you looked up at the wall of your frame picture of Gurn or Ignis.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. And the thing is, I only kept dropping the combo because it was on the PS2 controller, and the PS2 controller, for one thing, tiny. Very.
I know. I have a semi-working PS2 in the house.
Yeah, a cheap. For another thing, cheap plastic, and for another thing, the D-pad on the PS2 was not great.
I mean, it was better than the 360, I'd say.
Yeah, but that.
And I played fighting games on both.
Yeah, but the 360 controller, I think, is generally one of the worst of the last 20 years. Of the relevant consoles.
Are you saying the Ouya is not relevant?
That's up to you. The world may never know.
I don't know if I thought you were going to say the world is a vampire, just randomly. Just busting to fucking... Just busting to bullet with butterfly wings.
There's never any reason not to.
There is never any reason to.
Oh, you got me there, goddammit. Alright. So, with playing with CVS2, there's a lot of fun stuff in CVS2. That you don't... It's one of those games where it's like, it was incredible to see, and we'll probably never see it again. The stuff like the ISM system, right?
Yeah,
because what the fuck dev nowadays would come out with the ISM system, having to balance all that shit, you know?
Yeah, like sadly, that time for fighting games has gone. Like the thing with CVS and how it was right in the right place at the right time, I suppose, is that no matter how hard competitive play tries to recapture that moment, I don't think it can, because that moment wasn't inherently competitive. It was just a lot of people, regardless of whether or not they actually wanted to fight people, not only wanted to, but played fighting games, and that's not going to happen again, I don't think. Especially not as long as fighting game developers seem to be pushing only for the competitive aspect. But I mean, it's where the money is right now, so I don't blame them too hard.
Well, I don't think that like the competitive community is really that dedicated to imitating CVS2. The competitive community, to me, it seems, is more so trying to imitate Melee to a certain degree and Third Strike to a certain degree. Because, like, how much of the competitive player and fan base do you think exists solely because of Evo Moment 37?
I mean, Evo Moment 37 is the only competitive thing that I like, probably, so.
It's. I think what a lot of it is, I think that partly everybody knows, holy shit, CVS2 would be hell to balance. But I think it's also partly like, it's not quite what they're going for with the competitive community. That they're aiming for that or the MVC2 competitive community, because that was also a very famous one. And the give me just a second. I've lost my train of thought entirely. I think like with the simplification thing, I don't think that even like the simplification thing is tied to the competitive community so much as it is trying to retain the casual audience, right?
Oh yeah, I wasn't counting the simplification thing as a competitive thing, because like the only part of simplification that I think the competitive play benefits from is the less characters. And
Yeah.
that is inherently kind of against what the simplification stands for, because simplification in fighting games is happening because fighting game developers are trying to retain a casual audience, because it turns out that when you focus on the competitive aspect first, then some people just won't play your game because it's more fun to watch other people who know what they're doing play the game than it is to actually play, or at least they think
Yeah.
so. And those people won't be spending money on your game. They will be spending money on the streamers they watch, or they will be spending money on whatever else, but not your game. So now the fighting game community, or fighting game developers, I guess, is it's stuck between a rock and a hard place, where they don't have the budget to really put in things that the casual people would probably want. And even if they do, then they still to retain the competitive community, because that's all they have right now. And the competitive players, if the competitive players see them working on things that are not aimed at the competitive community, then okay, that's a statement that's technically wrong, but I'll go into why in a bit. But if the competitive players see something that is aimed at more casual people, then they will be asking how about me, how about Gibby, pretty much. Now the one nuance there is that recently I have seen more people in competitive discussions bring up things that would benefit casuals, just because they too acknowledge that competitive players not only won't really exist without casuals, because casuals turn into competitive players, but also the casuals who don't fuel the money that goes into bots and shit. So if casuals don't buy the game, then the game won't give you money for playing it, which is the kind of a shitty thing to have. But hey,
Well, I try not to ever like pick fights with communities and say competitive players say this and I don't like it, because like when you're picking a fight with a community, for one thing, that's a whole thing of like you're probably not going to be able to change their minds. I think it's more so. I think it's less important to pick fights with communities as a whole. Not only because like you're dealing with so many people, but also because there are so many competitive players who are going to say, "But I don't say that," right? So what you should be arguing against is not the competitive community itself, but arguing against a mentality that you hear about. You know?
and that's what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to piss on the competitive community as a whole, because that's the thing. Like, fighting games can't exist without the competitive community at the same time, because inherently it is a competition to see who wins the fight. So
Yeah.
people will be competitive about it. Like, what I'm saying is that I'm seeing a lot more people turn their opinion around, because a couple of years ago, well, a year ago, really, I think was the last time that I really see it happen a lot. But like a year or so ago, people, if people said that they want more story content or whatever, if they want more modes aimed at casuals, they want to have more fun, stupid shit that technically wastes development time, but it's not really a waste of development time because it gets the casuals money. Like, if when people said that, then they would usually be like they would be argued with a lot, or they would be like a lot of times those people would be downvoted or whatever. And I'm seeing that turn now, because people are recognizing that you need the casuals money to fuel the competitive side as well. and things can happen that benefit the casuals without it messing up shit on the competitive side, which I think it was the big thing that people had against casual stuff.
I'd say that there's been a lot of things that have changed in terms of the competitive community like that. Yes, I would say that one of the big things that's changed. I mean, there's just generally been an entire generational change, right? Because did I ever wind up sending you guys that meme of learning Marvel vs. Capcom 2 now, and it's everybody partying and like they're all gathering around the new kid and telling him how much of a great time he's gonna have. And then it says learning Marvel vs. Capcom 2 in the late 90s or early 2000s, and it's fucking Joe Pesci shooting people like there's guns coming out and people threatening each other.
No, you didn't, but
Like,
that's yeah.
oh, I need. Hang on. Let me get that one out. Let me bust that one out. It's a good one. It's a good one. Let me see. Let me grab it. Oh boy, that's a lot of pictures of puppies. Give me a second.
Which kind? What species? What species?
Oh no, I lost the picture. Oh fuck me. No. Right. I had a dumb moment about sometime last week. I noticed my phone was keeping a lot of old empty picture photos. Like I've organized the photos on my phone a lot between different folders, and I noticed that my phone was keeping a lot of the older folders that had been emptied because their stuff had been moved to other folders. So I was like, oh, that's dumb. So I said it delete all the folders, and I was like, all right, now let me just go ahead and click on these couple folders because I know they still got things in them. And I did not click on all the important folders. I clicked on the wrong ones, and it deleted not only all the funny pictures I had on my phone, like the one I was just mentioning, but also deleted all the pictures I had of my pets.
Oh,
Which, that's part of why I've been trying to recover so many as I can lately. But there are some that it seems are permanently lost, which sucks.
yeah.
But yes, it's a meme jokingly comparing when in Goodfellas they accept the new guy and like share him with praise versus the scene where Joe Pesci shoots the fuck out of him for insulting him.
Yeah, that's funny
But
though. Like that's a funny thing to think about for me because I wasn't really a part of the competitive community in the late 90s, early 2000s. Like even
yeah, neither of us could be.
even in the late 2000s. At the same time, I did still experience I still experienced stuff before Street Fighter V's release, because when everyone quit playing fighting games, I mean, I did too. I guess I only really played Tekken 5 for a lot of time, but like there were a lot of like discussions and stuff like that I would look up, and with my very limited English at the time, I would like look at what people said about, oh, how do you do this with this character, or how do you do that, and it was usually just like figure it out, and then a couple of slurs or something like that, because it was the early 2000s. But
Yeah.
so like it's funny for me to think how technically, like, I'm a fucking paradox with when it comes to what like era I fit in, because I'm too young to have been in the arcades, but I most of my experiences are similar to what arcade going people had, and the experiences of people who joined after Street Fighter or joined with Street Fighter 4, or who are joining now, are alien to me.
Yeah, there's just been such a change in attitudes. Like that, we love to post that picture of the arcade cabinet with the thing taped to it of "Don't play Rugal or we'll break your fucking kneecaps."
That's still true, apparently.
Oh, I believe it in certain parts of Mexico or Brazil, yeah. But like in the States, that kind of thing would have also been stateside in the late '90s, early 2000s, and now
Yeah.
that kind of thing would be unthinkable.
Yeah.
And it's partly because of a change in attitudes towards like the community as a whole. I think is like the fighting game community has turned from one where it's like every man for himself, everyone is a competitor, to one where it's like we need to stick together and we need to support the things we love.
Yeah, because then I think the reason for that change is because of the size difference. Because in the 90s there were a lot more people, and people usually stuck around their turf, but they would apparently go to other people's turf to have have pretty much gang fights in fighting games, and then
Yeah.
and then freaking like stuff like that. And to join a clique, you had to provide intel, and then you might get intel out of it, you might not, stuff like that. Apparently, I don't know, I wasn't there. And now,
Well,
now that there's a lot less people playing, the people who are playing are more willing to give up their intel because it's for the better of like because then they might have better opponents.
Yeah, I'd say there's a lot of changes like that. Like you point out something I was about to mention, which is an old saying, which I found out there's an abbreviation for. It's like it's save that shit for finals or something like that. And like people would say STSF or something like that. And it's like that is such a like 10 years ago, if not 20 years ago mentality. Whereas nowadays, you find some new tech with your character, you immediately like open up OBS, turn on the fucking recording software, upload that shit to YouTube, brother. I mean, put that on the Discord, send it to all your buddies.
I mean, kind of like I sent some of my tech to you, but sometimes I'm too lazy, and I'm just like, hey, I don't really feel like getting the captures off of the PS4, so I'm just gonna bust this out and never record.
Yeah, but you're not actively like malevolently waiting to like bust it out in finals where you think nobody will be prepared for it. You know?
I mean, if I came up with tech that like if I'm busting some tech out during finals, then it's because I think it really looks cool. And it's really hard to pull off. Like if I'm busting anything out of finals that other people don't know about, that is to show off.
Yeah, and there's another thing that's different with us is that we record when we play fighting games. So when we deliberately hide shit, it's usually for the funny.
Yeah.
Or just for the content, like that time in Mortal Kombat X where I kept hidden from you guys that I knew a block string with Jax.
Yeah.
That was a good time. For me, not for you, but for me.
Yeah. And then I retorted by doing my freaking like 40% combo with Ermac.
Yeah.
Which I have shown you before then, so it wasn't a surprise to you, but hey. Wait, no, did I show that to you before then? I don't remember.
I don't either. I feel like my Jax versus your Ermac and MKX though was actually probably one of the most competitive matchups we've had.
We didn't have that
you
match.
And me typically, I'm sorry?
I don't think we had that match. Your Jax fought my Raiden, and then I don't remember who. I think you were like Kenshi when I beat you with Ermac.
Oh, I suck with Kenshi.
Yeah, I think I beat your Kenshi and you beat my Raiden.
Okay, yeah, that. Oh, we should have done Jax versus Ermac at some point because realistic for all the fighting games we've played, how many like super competitive matchups have you and me had other than my Slayer versus your Johnny?
We had that one time I was playing Blanca and you were playing Barrow.
That is true. That one was a pretty strong one.
Yeah, I feel like in that match I got to show off that I actually know how to play footsies. I just don't use it usually, aside from the rushdown parts.
How many sets did we do of Potemkin versus Answer?
Like 4?
We did like at least 15 matches of Pot versus Answer.
Yeah. And then after, like a week after that, we then had a full set of Faust versus Chip, but it was 5 rounds per match, and that was stupid. Or it may have been Faust versus Soul, I forget.
Yeah.
And then what other competitive matches we had? We had I don't would you count that time that we did the set with Vanessa against Geese in KOF 14?
Who against Geese?
Vanessa.
Probably. I just don't have much memory of it. I definitely remember doing. Who's Vanessa and who's Geese?
You were Geese. I was Vanessa.
Okay, that's what I was about to say, because I don't remember playing much Vanessa in any of our videos, even though I like her, whereas I remember playing Geese a lot.
Yeah, you usually play Geese because, I mean, I feel like you like Geese more. So I usually don't pick him.
I do. Geese has slowly become probably my favorite KOF character, which it took him a long time to get past Vice and King, but I think he's just about there.
Yeah, meanwhile, my heart is Rugel's.
Yeah. Okay, so apparently 98, KOF 98 on PC is getting a rollback patch soon. Did you see about that?
Yeah.
Whenever that happens, and it goes on sale. I need to pick up copies for both of us so that we can go and do 98 and have Geese versus Rugal.
Oh no. My main in 98 is...
the game where Geese doesn't have real Repukins.
No, he does in the Fatal Fury mode. He does.
Oh, you're right. Yes, I forgot 98 has so many alternate variations. You're right.
But also, you have to remember, my main in 98 is someone else. Because my main in 98...
My main in 98 is someone else as well.
And they're both on the same team, probably. Because your main is Lucky Grabber, I think. Or how do you say his name?
Glauber, yeah, Lucky Glauber. Yeah.
And then my main is Brian. Brian Rattler.
Of course.
Pizza.
The pizza. They can't handle it. It's too strong.
If the sports team gets added to KOF 15, we are going to upload a video where we just yell the pizza over and over again. No one will understand. No one.
Just to complete the meme, we do a complete set of Brian Battler mirror match, and the only move we're allowed to do is the pizza.
We already did that.
Yeah, but do it in modern graphics, and that's that's all the video. Don't even give context. Just have it start with the loading into the match, and all we do is do that move and say pizza, and whenever the set ends, we just cut.
and then I mute the game, so it's only the grunts and shit, and then put the freaking the pizza delivery music from Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, there you go. We've just made content, baby.
Yeah. So hey, if you're listening to this in the future and that happened, then you know why. Nobody will listen to this.
Anyway. Why we decide to do it?
Yeah.
Because we don't either.
I mean, I can actually trace that meme back to its logical beginning. Like I know why we started doing that meme. That's the thing.
Why's that?
So here's how that happened. You played as Brian Battler, and I thought he looked really stupid, and that's probably why you picked him. And you did the move that he has, the in-air freaking Hadouken input. And one of us said that it looks like someone tossing a pizza into the air. And then around that same time, I was really insistent on repeating the Spider-Man 2 pizza team meme, where someone wrote the lyrics for it, where it's pizza pasta, put it in a box, deliver it through my hands, and put it through my cock, yeah, and cheesy on my peenie, it's also on my balls, or something like that, whatever.
Yeah, the thing, whatever thing that got sent to Vine Sauce Vinny.
Yeah. And that was also during that time. So when you called it the pizza toss, I started doing that meme, and then somehow it just devolved into us doing the move and saying pizza, and it's also calling Brian Battler pizza.
I love how there are some videos where you can see steadily over the course of the video our brains degrade into nothing.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But I was going to bring something else up, but I forget what. So I don't know. What were we discussing? We were talking about the series matches we've had, or serious sets. Before then, what were we discussing?
Well, we somehow got to Mortal Kombat X. Oh, hidden tech. Save that shit for finals.
Oh yeah.
Which we were talking about how the competitive community mentality has changed significantly with time.
Yes.
Which, there's a multitude of factors there. Another one I think is just also like the competitive community has started to have like different figures that they look to with respect, right?
Yeah.
Because it's been less about like established competitive players and more about YouTubers like Sajam and Maximilian Dude. And the guys who have largely been able to stay influential have been guys who start YouTube channels or start streaming a lot, like Daigo, Justin Wong, or Brian F.
Yeah.
who do content as well as competitive play.
Yeah, that may have even influenced it, because like people who start out, or how do I put this? I mean, like this is gonna sound like I'm putting ourselves on the same level, I guess, but like it takes one to know one, and people who put like making videos about fighting games over actually competitively playing fighting games won't be good enough to actually play fighting games competitively. They get close, but if you don't put in the time, then you can't do it, and that's basically just how it is. So like people like Max, and I think if he heard this, he would probably agree that like people like Max can probably challenge competitive standards, as in like he can probably get in the pools and shit like that and get a placement, but he probably won't get like first place in Evo, because
Yeah,
there's gonna be people who just put in more time.
yeah. Competitive players come onto Max's streams and play him online all the time, and Max doesn't embarrass himself. He's able to
Usually,
keep about competitive, but at the same time, it's clear the other guy is not in full "I need this tournament money" mode.
yeah. And I mean, like Max usually doesn't embarrass himself, and or like no, no, Max didn't embarrass himself. He got embarrassed by the freaking I forget who the Guilty Gear player was, but the incident,
Which one?
the Exert incident.
I don't know of that one.
So the reason Max didn't play Exert is that he picked the game up, started playing Baiken, and then one of the like I forget. But like one of the top players of I forget which character, it may have been Chip, I think, but one of the top players of a character from Exord challenged him to a friendly match, and then he was like he just got outplayed really hard, and then the guy insta killed him at the end. So he just
Yeah.
he put out a tweet saying that Guilty Gear Exord sucks, and then stopped playing the game. Yeah.
How long ago was this?
A bit of a time ago. Max like brings it up and laughs at it at this point. So he he had time to regret it, and then it's just a joke to him. But it happened. He can't really change it.
Yeah, it's Max is a weird guy who's changed a lot. He did. You want to see some weird shit? Look at those old pictures of Max without a beard and without long hair. Oh boy. What was I gonna say? Yeah, and like guys like Sajam have become so influential as well.
Yeah, I mean, I can talk about Sejam because I think I've seen maybe a Sejam video. No, I don't have a large pool of reference for him. Like I sometimes I watch Maximilian's stuff, not because genuinely I watch Maximilian's videos not because I'm particularly interested or because I want to watch him, but because I usually the people that I am subscribed to don't upload anything that I care about, and I'm just like, whatever, fuck it, might as well.
Yeah.
Like this content is not for me, and that's okay. He doesn't like it. I hate that I feel like I need to specify or need to say that every time I say that I don't like something that's okay, because that should be the default. Like, but yeah. Anyway, continue.
It's just the weird thing of like the way our brains work. Whenever we want to say that we don't like something, it's like, oh, I don't like so and such. He does this and that and that and this that I don't like. And to us, it's just simply saying that's why I don't enjoy his content. But what it sounds like to others is, I think this guy is trash because this and that and this and that.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of naturally how our brains work in terms of saying that stuff and also in terms of receiving it from others, particularly because our tones of voice tend to drop whenever we're talking about a guy if we don't like him but still don't have an objective problem with him, right?
Yeah.
But still, our voice has switched to a kind of disdain because we're kind of like, yeah, it's not. I've watched his content before and thought it was a bit of a waste of my time.
Yeah.
It's just kind of an inevitable thing. But what was I going to say? Yeah, that's been one of the big changes, I think. And because Maximilian Dude has been a big advocate of what we say a lot, which is that, like, rollback, like, you need content and flashy visuals to get people in. Rollback is really just there to retain,
Yeah.
But no casual is going to see a fighting game with rollback netcode on the box and be like, great. They're gonna be like, what the fuck?
But my favorite thing about rollback netcode recently has been that whenever a fighting game with rollback hypes itself, or whenever I get a fighting game hyped up to me by saying that it has rollback, I repeat it back to Pink, and even though I've explained to Pink what rollback netcode does, he just goes, "What's rollback?"
Yeah.
And I think that really summarizes the casual's eye on rollback netcode.
It does, but at the same time, remember that Pink might deliberately be saying that because he thinks it's funny.
True.
As strange as it may be, the thing that probably does the most to market fighting games nowadays is when someone posts X fighting game now has rollback netcode on r/games, right?
Yeah.
Because then it's like, because then you get a load of comments in the thread from, you know, guys who play fighting games be like, no, fighting games should be without rollback netcode. And that's where casuals see it and they're like, ah, yes, I am now informed.
Yes, I know all of the drop packets. I now need not my Wi-Fi indicator. You probably still need your Wi-Fi indicator. You probably still need your Wi-Fi indicator.
Picture the stone sky knowledge.
Yeah. Knowledge.
Knowledge. Good. All right. Well, we kept on that one for a while. Is there anything else you want to particularly hit?
Has there been any interesting discussions that I've seen about things like this, or like, you know, the discussions that spark me to think? Because a lot of times, in my free time, I just like look at other people's discussions about certain topics, and I think about you know, my stance on it and whether or not what they say could change that, or how it could affect it or whatever. And yeah, that's how I can sometimes come up with top topics, but usually I forget about them, so I just don't bring them up.
Here, I've got one.
Yeah.
What is the simplest, most subtle, most low-key thing a fighting game can do to earn your approval?
I mean, low-key. Define low-key.
Simple, subtle, and low-key.
Define low-key.
Well, I'm talking about it being low in the key regard rather than being a Norse god. I'll say that.
I mean, I understand that, but like, you know, but what do you define as subtle in this regard?
I would say it's not like, let's say, what's a change they could make that would really improve a fighting game that would not be something they would be advertising on the back of the box or showing off in pictures?
Okay, so I can see Akuma. All right, that's all I wanted to know. Yeah, just a small thing. That's a good question. Do you have an answer for your part? I guess while I think.
Shit, I was intent on pitching that question, but not answering it. Let's see. Oh, that is shit. Okay. This is gonna be a really stupid, obvious one, I guess. But like compared to games like Strive and Street Fighter V, which have launched without it, I'd prefer for the lowest input delay possible. Generally.
Yes. I can agree with that. I actually came up with my own. The smallest thing that people probably wouldn't advertise is like matchup specific round start animations. Like I just want interactions between the characters that are more than just, you know, lines of dialogue changing while you walk on screen.
So not what Mortal Kombat X and Mortal Kombat 11 do.
Yeah, not that. I want old SNK shit. Like I want the stuff that BlazBlue does where it has freaking characters fighting each other in the start of the match, and then they stop. They say a line of dialogue, and then the actual match begins and stuff like that. Or like, you know, I want more of shit like the freaking Ken handing Ryu his handbag, and then they do a fist bump and shit like that. That I miss that stuff.
Which is better, Ken and Ryu doing the fist bump, or Alex and Hugo standing chest to chest like Hogan and Andre?
I like the fist bump better, personally.
Fair enough. Now, which do you like better between the fist bump and in Guilty Gear XX, Soul and Kai already fighting at the start of the fucking match, and they do each other's supers and no sell them.
I mean, I don't.
Because that one's
yeah.
definitely the nuttiest fucking match intro animation.
Blaze Blue has a lot of those. That's the thing. Like, to me, like.
Yeah, but fuck Blaze Blue.
I mean, true. Like, I don't know. To me, the fact that the Blaze Blue has a lot of those kind of diminish the overall, like, you know, the wow factor of Soul and Kai fighting, and I'm still inclined to go with the fist bump, but that may just be nostalgia, honestly.
Yeah. Well, things like the fist bump are vital because they tell you about the characters. Ryu and Ken are respected friends as much as they are rivals.
Yeah, true.
And sometimes, you know, it can inform the characters. Like in CVS 2, Rock and Geese have a special character intro where Rock, like, says out loud, "I don't know what the hell you are, but something seems very strange about you," and Geese just laughs in response.
Yeah.
Which tells you, well, it's a mystery, but yeah, there's a connection here. And if you've been paying attention to what last names are, then you probably are aware of it.
Yeah. And there's also stuff like with the crossovers working doing stuff like this, like Ken giving Terry his hat.
Yeah, that's a damn good one. Yeah, that one was just kind of the inevitable one because it's the two blonde guys who wear red.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of other ones, but a lot of them are like, you know, like things that are kind of obvious, I suppose. But it's stuff like that. I miss that stuff, and it probably wouldn't be like if character interactions are the selling point of your game, and that's the thing that you advertise on the back of the box, then your game is probably not worth the money. I'm not gonna lie. Like it's a nice thing to have, and I miss it. And if a game has a lot of effort put into their character specific round starts, then I appreciate it a lot. But at the same time, it's not a thing that sells a game.
It's like if you advertised a game with, "This game features auto saving."
Like, yeah, no shit, that should be a thing that already happens in every game. Yeah.
This game allows you to press buttons.
This game has a loose state, which qualifies it as a video game.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's been about nearly
it's 2 hours,
2.5 hours. So we're probably good to call it here.
But here's the thing: I didn't talk about what I played, and I played Tekken 7.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
All right.
So in Tekken 7, I what did I do? Well, I came up with a new Akuma combo, which is more. I mean, okay, I don't really came up with a new combo. I expanded on the one that I already had, pretty much, and it does like 99 damage, which is pretty good damage. I think it's like, I mean, it depends on the enemy, I suppose, but it's somewhere between like 30 and 45% health. So, you know, pretty good.
You said 99 damage. My brain thought 99%. And I was like, fucking what?
Yeah, no, I mean, you can do that with Akuma, but only on the bears. Well, unless they patched it out, I forget. Like, you used to be able to do. You used
Speaking
to be.
of save that shit for finals, that might actually be something you need to save for finals.
Yeah. Well, because like Akuma used to be able to touch off the bears if he had full meter, but like I think that might have been patched out.
I would hope so.
I mean, yeah, it only makes sense. Why does Akuma have a touch of this again?
Only the bears. It's not like the bears are so strong they need something to hold them back.
Yeah. So yeah, I did that. I actually apparently I haven't really touched my mains, like my actual Tekken mains, other than Steve and Lee, at all. I play a bit of them, and it's funny how the longer I play Tekken, the worse I am at Steven, the better I am with Lee.
Steve is a button mash friendly character. I'll say that.
True. Like I can figure out some combo stuff with him and stuff like that, but like it doesn't, like the things just don't flow as well as I would want them to. And it's partially because I don't do my research on what other people find out about the characters, I suppose, but it's also just like, I don't know. Like I may have changed too much, I guess.
Yeah, inevitably you do change with playing, as many fighting games as we do.
Yeah. But like,
And
yeah, go ahead.
I'm just trying to think of like an example of a character that I was not necessarily better with, because I wouldn't say that, but more fond of before I really learned how to play fighting games. And I guess off the top of my head, I can't think of any actually. So go ahead with what you're going to say.
All right. So them, and then I also played a bit of King, and I actually learned like the first three parts of a comment of a freaking grab chain he has. So hey, eventually I may even know how to play King. Now my favorite part of King is that he has the like really hard inputs. Like by which I don't mean like really hard by Tekken standards. I mean really hard by fighting game standards, like half circle back forward. Oh no, sorry, I'm wrong, because that's easier. No, it's an SNK input, or forward, or backward, going from backwards, circle forwards. But yeah.
Yeah, King is probably. Would you say King is the most execution intensive character in fighting game history?
No. I don't.
Really?
I don't think so. Because here's the thing for me. A lot of King's like actual strings are just like face button stuff, and the motions he has are pretty basic. Like I was making a joke by saying that the front freaking forward circle forward input is hard, but um aside from that, like I don't. That's the thing. I think to me the thing that makes King a hard character to play is memorization, not execution. Because if you have the memory capability of retaining all of the information on, I need to press this button, these buttons in these sequences, then you can get the execution down pretty easily. At least, okay, it depends on the Tekken game, I suppose. I haven't really tried playing King in Tekken 3, you know.
Yeah.
But to me, the thing that makes King a difficult character to play is memorization. I can't remember the sequence of buttons to play to get to the rolling death cradle, because there's 4 moves, each of them requiring like seven button presses in the length of the animation. And I usually I could get the button presses down if I knew them, but I don't. But at the same time, I can't really think of any more execution heavy character really, because like even with Tekken, it's okay.
There's Lei
going all over the
Wulong,
place.
but he's more memorization heavy than execution heavy.
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up. Is that like the only character that I can think of who has more moves is Lei Wulong, but like even with him, it's more memorization than execution. Like I don't know, because usually characters don't really have like specials on pretzel inputs and shit like that, and that's where I'd start considering them the hardest character, because like that's stupid. I feel like I've seen at least a character in a game that has some of their, or like half of their specials on pretzel inputs, but I can't tell you who it is, so I don't know.
Yeah, for me, there's no contestants. It's really King. Like King is just fucking insane.
But I mean, would you say that because of the input timing, or because of the actual the actually having to remember the buttons?
Yes. I have sat down and memorized the buttons before and still couldn't fucking do it. So
Oh,
he is a motherfucker.
have you tried doing it with the macros? Because I've learned that it makes playing King easier.
I have tried doing it with the macros, yes, but I've not managed to pull it off still.
Oh, interesting. I guess it may just be a thing where I play lot of freaking a lot of whatchamacallit, rhythm games in short bursts. So like
Wh- Wait. What moves are we talking about?
um oh, I'm forgetting the name of it. Does he have a Cobra Clutch or something like that, or what is it? There's a there's a move that he transitions it into an abdominal stretch that I'm thinking of. It's like a sleeper, but I forget what it's actually called.
Well, that one I can do. I thought we were talking about rolling Death Cradle, honestly.
Ah no, I will need to freaking work up my courage to even try doing the rolling that cradle because I can't remember the inputs.
Yeah, how do you? How would anyone?
Yeah. So like most of the stuff that I have been able to retain are things like that sleeper thing that you can transition into an abdominal stretch and like just stuff of juggles and shit like that and the giant swing because it's overpowered.
Yeah.
Which I believe the giant swing is forward circle forward or half circle forward. Yeah,
Yes. Yeah, it's the KOF super input. Yeah.
yeah. So it's like it is more than Tekken usually asks of you. At the same time, with Akuma, with Akuma, whoever is with Akuma being in the game and also Geese now, I suppose. Whoever is the battle designer for Tekken was like, what if I just take all of these Tekken characters and give them like motion inputs? Because it's mostly the new moves that people get that's like freaking show you can input and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I played a bit of that, and I played it for a couple of hours. Got freaking a bit of time with Kingen and stuff like that. Did a bit of character customization, and then I turned it off because there's nothing to do single player in that game.
Eh. There's barely anything to do in multiplayer in that game.
True,
Yeah.
but I mean, hey, you can have a Kuma freaking you can have a Kuma taking a bath with a car on his head. That's funny. That's fun
That is
content, isn't
true.
it?
That is the big funny.
Yes. And then you can also have a flying Heihachi if you give us more of your sweet Robux.
Yeah.
Or you can even have Pac-Man. Don't you want to buy Pac-Man? 7-year-old fetus?
The fuck?
Do kids even know who Pac-Man is anymore?
They do. They do. There's no way they don't.
I feel like Pac-Man would be a character who has faded into obscurity just because like I don't know. I suppose like Namco does try to keep him in the public mind just because with the freaking the champion collection and the like whatever they're called, the 2-bit freaking arcade or whatever, 1-up arcade, yeah.
And I mean, like, it's inevitable going out somewhere. Like, the last arcade cabinets standing in the U.S. in public are almost certainly all either Pac-Man or Dig Dug.
Ah, okay, yeah. I wouldn't know because our kids like tried to be a thing over here and then they didn't, and that was in like 2 years when I not only haven't been born, but I wasn't even like a faint thought for the next 12 years. So so it's
Yeah.
it's hard to know. Like the technically arcades do exist. Like I have seen arcade cabinets. It just doesn't have real games in it. It's like like that's a funny way to say that, but like genuinely, it's like the arcades that or like the arcade cabinets or similar things that still exist over here that I can see have wrong games that you would see in a TV show. Like they're ripoffs.
Well, I mean, it's just a bargain.
But yeah. And then, did I play any other fighting games? Probably not. So yeah, we can probably call this a podcast now.
All right.
So yeah, fighting games were, I suppose.
Were, yes. Damn it. We almost got it in perfect sync. Damn it.
Alright, see y'all.